The opinions expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers or Rogers TV.
I believe I offer the best opportunity for change in this province, the change that makes sense for Ontarians. And on June 12th, they have an important choice to make. On June 12th, they can choose a plan that makes sense.
I'm now here with Ontario NDP Leader Andrea Horwath. Ms. Horwath, we've lost so many manufacturing jobs in this province due to the rising cost of electricity. How do you plan on keeping those jobs in the province, and how do you plan on creating jobs overall?
Well, you've raised an important issue, and it's one of the big problems that we have is our electricity system is in a bit of a mess, and so we are now paying some of the highest electricity rates in the entire country, and in fact in North America. When you look to the provinces on either side, Quebec and Manitoba, they've maintained their electricity rates at about half of what Ontario pays because they have a system that makes sense. They have a system that is in place for the benefit of the economy and the people who live in those provinces. We're going to take the electricity system and we're going to overhaul it. Right now, it's a highly privatized system. We're going to make sure that we take 4 agencies that exist in the hydro system and collapse them into one. So getting rid of 4 layers of top echelon bureaucracy. The frontline work we still need done, but certainly there are 31 people working in the electricity system that in these 4 agencies that make twice what the Premier makes. So we're going to collapse those agencies because there's lots of duplication, lots of overlap. We're going to get CEO salaries capped so that they don't continue to climb. We're going to market our own energy so that we get a better price for it. Right now we're subsidizing the energy that we sell at a price that's not beneficial for Ontarians. In fact, it's costing us $1.8 billion a year, which is not good for ratepayers in this province. And so we're the only party actually that has a plan to really fundamentally change our electricity system. But we're going to start with making bills more affordable by taking the HST off of hydro.
And more specifically, youth unemployment has become a big issue in this province. So how do you plan to deal with that crisis?
Well, I'm glad you raised it. It was New Democrats that forced the Liberals to put a youth jobs plan in place because I've been hearing from young people all over this province that they're very frustrated with lack of work. Youth are going to benefit from the other jobs plans that we have as well. So we're going to maintain the focus on youth with the youth jobs programs, but we're also going to do things differently when it comes to jobs overall. Instead of blank checks to companies that pack up and take their businesses elsewhere, we are going to reward the companies that are creating jobs. So if you create a job, you get a tax credit. If you invest in Ontario, you get a tax credit. We're also going to reduce small business taxes to be able to help small businesses be able to hire and keep more people on staff. We need change here in this province, and the Liberals have not done well when it comes to jobs, and Mr. Hudak believes the only thing we need to do is drive down the corporate tax rate, but we've seen that doesn't work either. So Liberal and Conservative plans don't work. We need something new, and that's what we're offering.
And what have you learned from your time as NDP leader, and how would you use what you learned if you were elected Premier?
You know, everywhere I go in this province, Kingston to Kenora, Windsor to Wawa, Ontarians are hardworking, honest people, and what they want is a hardworking, honest government, and they've not seen that with the Liberals. And so what we're offering is exactly that. You know, people in Ontario are decent people no matter where I go, but they expect their government to focus on their priorities and to respect their tax dollar, and that's exactly what New Democrats are going to do.
And when and how long do you think it would take you guys to balance the budget if elected?
We are determined, and we believe in balanced budgets. We're determined to balance the budget by 2017-18, and we're going to do a number of different things. We're going to bring in the Financial Accountability Office, which was supposed to be up and running last year, and the Liberals did not make good on that promise. We are going to bring a minister responsible for savings and accountability into place in this province. Our plan actually takes us into a surplus position by 2017-18.
And if elected, how would you guys work with municipalities in the province to ensure city growth?
Well, that's a great question. I used to be a city councillor in Hamilton, the city of Hamilton, and so I know that cities need a partner when it comes to the provincial government. I can tell you what I won't do. I won't do what the Liberals and Conservatives have done, which is download more responsibilities to cities. Cities need to not be paying for provincial programs, and so we're going to continue to take those services off of the backs of cities in terms of the costs. But we're also going to fund infrastructure projects. We have a lot of demand when it comes to infrastructure in this province. Many cities wanting some investment in transit systems, certainly downtown Toronto, but many other cities as well. And we're committed to immediate investments of $250 million each and every year for transit and transportation, including in northern communities as well, where their issues are more around highways and bridges and making those roads safe.
And lastly, how do you believe that you can inspire youth to become more involved in their communities and have an active voice in things like politics and community events?
Well, I mean, one of the things I'm thrilled about is seeing how many young people are actually involved in our campaigns right now. I mean, I've been traveling across the province for this for the last 3-4 weeks now, and I'm thrilled every single campaign I've been to, and this, bar none, we've had many, many young people involved in our campaigns. We try to engage young people where they are, so we do make use of social media particularly, but before the campaign started, I've spent much time over the last couple of years visiting campuses of colleges and universities. I visit high schools when I'm invited. I go to elementary schools to talk to people, to talk to young people, kids. I think it's very important that young people are engaged in politics, and we do everything we can to reach out and invite young people in to our party and to our campaigns because their voice is important, their ideas are important, and their energy is important.
Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Horwath.
My pleasure. Thank you.
As Andrea and the other leaders move into the final days of their campaign, one thing that is for certain is that June 12th will be an interesting day. At Queen's Park, I'm Ryan Rocca for Cable 10 Live.
All right, welcome back to the show. That was Ryan Rocca, a young journalist who put together that great piece with Andrea Horwath. He's actually joining me now on the show. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
Thanks so much for being here. So how did you score the big interview with Andrea Horwath?
Well, ever since I was 9 years old, I've always been interested in journalism and politics and stuff like that. Since I noticed that there was obviously an election campaign going on, I thought I would go straight to the top and try to get an interview with at least one of the party leaders. I did reach out, I think it's important to mention, to Conservative leader Tim Hudak and Liberal leader Kathleen Wynne, but they didn't get back to me in time. But so I emailed, the NDP press secretary, and she agreed to have me take part on the media bus for the day. So I joined Ms. Horwath on her campaign for the day last week, and I was able to get an interview with her during one of her breaks during that.
And what was it like being on the media bus all day? Was that pretty awesome?
Yeah, it was really cool. I was able to be with a whole bunch of other journalists, see what it's like with them, see what type of work they do on the bus. So there were newspaper journalists, television journalists, some just social media journalists even.
Cool.
And it was cool seeing how they do their work, how quick and fast-paced the day really is for them, and for all political candidates that also follow along with Andrea at the campaign stops throughout the day. Whether it be in Oshawa, Scarborough, or wherever we stopped during that day.
What a great experience for you to get. Did you have to take a day off school, or?
I did take a day off school.
I guess it's good excuse to.
My teachers are very understanding.
Yeah, that's great. It was a really good piece. I really enjoyed the interview. I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
So you're only 16 years old.
Yeah, I just turned 16.
That's awesome. So you're a few years away from even being able to vote.
Yeah.
So where does this interest in politics come from?
Well, I'm actually one of the few my age who are interested in politics. I'm not too sure why I am so interested. Ever since I was young, like I said, I've always just had that interest. But unfortunately, the majority of the youth in this province is not interested in politics even nearly as much as I am.
And the last question you posed to Ms. Horwath was about youth engagement in politics. Do you think the parties are doing enough to engage youth?
Well, I think that in order for youth to be interested in politics, there needs to be something new. Whether it be NDP, Liberal, or Conservative, we need a new something new from the parties that interests the youth.
Something fresh, something exciting, like a
something fresh and
policy
exciting,
or
a policy,
an initiative?
Initiative, anything
Yeah.
really.
Okay.
Just something that is honest and something that politicians follow through with.
Yeah.
Something that they have to follow through with on their promises.
Yes.
And I believe that the youth will then put more trust into the
You think
government.
the youth don't trust, they're disillusioned, they don't think they're going to follow through on the promises?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I actually know several people who are, this is their first opportunity to be able to vote, and they actually threw out their voting cards.
Wow. That's
That's
pretty
how
sad.
bad it's
That's
gotten.
pretty
Yeah.
sad. I want to get your take on social media because you're a young man. I assume that you're engaged in the social media sphere.
Of course.
So how are the parties doing in terms of the social media?
Well, social media, once again, the youth engagement really isn't there.
With politics.
With politics.
Yeah.
With politics, exactly.
Yeah.
They use social media, but even though the majority of the youth uses social media, I don't believe that they are using it effectively to engage the youth in politics.
Right.
They are mainly appealing to people that are older, that have known politics for a much longer period of time, even though social media is obviously a new thing.
I think it's really important for them to establish to the youth that this affects you and this is important to you,
Yeah.
and to give concrete examples of how it, because I think a lot of you think it makes no difference. We have about 30 seconds left. Great job on the piece. Are you looking into a future in journalism, politics? What's the future
I
look
would
like
love
for you?
to have a future in journalism. I hope
Yeah.
to go to university for journalism and to continue my work here for Rogers TV for a few more years,
Awesome.
or as long as I possibly can,
Yeah.
and just continue with journalism and become the best journalist that I can be.
That's awesome. Great job on the piece. I look forward to seeing more work from you in the future, Ryan. Thanks a lot for being here. That's Ryan Roca. He's a young journalist, 16 years old, getting involved. It's great to see. We'll be right back with more.
Okay, so if you just want to come and sit down.